So in our discussions around the new rules that have been created for the Indian DPDP Act, we are going to start today discussing about the obligations of fiduciary and the specific one which is about issuing notices to data principals. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you daily see new content on data privacy, and as I said, we are going to talk about issuing notices to data principals as per the new rules under the DPDP rules 2025. So what are the key obligations that have come in under data fiduciary, and we are going to subsequently get into details of each of them in subsequent videos. The first one that we are going to talk of today is issuing notices to data principals about the data being collected, about the data being processed. Apart from that, there are details about how to register a consent manager and the roles of the consent manager as well as the consent management when it comes to compliance with Indian laws, handling of data for state beneficiaries where subsidies are given by the state, reasonable security safeguards provided by the compliance, intimation, the process and the timeline of how would a fiduciary intimate about a breach if in case a breach occurs, and the process of variable consent when it comes to handling data of children minors less than 18 years of age as per the Indian context. So these are the key obligations which have come up for fiduciaries, and as I said, let's talk about the privacy notice today. So what is the purpose of issuing a notice? A notice is issued to inform what information is being collected and what would be the purpose of collecting and processing that information. Now the word processing as defined by the Indian DPDP Act, collecting, storing, using, which is the actual processing the way we normally understand, deleting and sharing with third party. If you are doing any of these activities under for any Indian citizen in digital format, then you are required to be compliant with the DPDP Act, and then you are doing all the compliance related issues and protecting their personal data being stored with you, collected by you. So through privacy notice, you make the data principal, the person whose data you are collecting, understand the purpose of what have you collected, why have you collected it, so that they can decide whether they are okay with the purpose of collection of their personal information, and they can provide you a very purpose specific and very informed consent. It should not be that at some stage they come up and say we didn't understand, right? So your notices should be as good as that, and we are going to talk in detail about how to make a good notice. The notice should have the information that you are collecting, what is the clear purpose of processing the information, what third party sharing are you going to do if at all you are doing any third party sharing for processing, like for example my usual example of opening bank account. If you say yes, I want checkbook at home by mail, then a courier agency would be involved, and your personal information to some extent, that is your name, address, phone number, would be shared by the bank with the courier agency. What are the requirements of consent? In this case, on the notice, you are expected, fiduciary is expected to mention what consent is required, what are the rights that the principal can exercise, and how. Ideally a summary paragraph of the rights related to that particular consent, making it easier for people to decide, okay, I am giving consent today, but tomorrow I can withdraw my consent or I can get my information changed, and if not, then there is complete information about the context of the grievance cell, so I know that if I am not happy, then where should I go to express my concern and maybe stop processing of my personal information, right? The things that a fiduciary should keep in mind, of course, one very important thing is that the notice should be issued first at the time of collecting the information or just before processing the information, and later on whenever you are making a change in your process or you are updating your notice, you should send another information. The Act and the rules expect you to have a communication link on a website, maybe through an app, maybe both of them depending on what level of fiduciary you are and what all you choose, which does provide an option to withdraw the consent, which does provide details on how can the user exercise his data principal rights, and withdrawing consent is one of those. Stop processing, get the data erased, get the data altered, these are the various data principal rights. I have a video on this with respect to the DPDP Act as well on my playlist. The process to contact the concerned higher authorities, the sort of escalation metrics, as we say, that I am not satisfied with the response or I am not satisfied with the processing of my information, where do I go to express my concern, and if I am not satisfied with you as my fiduciary, how do I contact the board, right? So this kind of information should be available on your notice itself, so that the principal is confident about and believes that you are transparent in processing and you are accountable, that is why you are ready to even share the information about the data protection board. The recommended best practices while you create a notice: clear and concise language. You are all around the country and a lot of regions, a lot of regional languages. The Constitution of India permits set of around 21 languages. So your notices should be translatable to those languages. Maybe if your website can detect the region, maybe the option opens up for that particular region so that people can understand it better. Use as simple as possible text so that people can understand it easier. Your audience may not be tech savvy, right? But your audience is your audience, right? Use user-centric approach. Use images and provide all the possible granular details with regular updates and all related communications. When I say regular updates and related communication, you may not you may update your link or your app. Send in a notification, send in a WhatsApp, send in an SMS, send in an alert on the app users. Not every user will be an app user. Send them a message with a link again. We would already update on the same link, but send a message with a link again saying that we have updated privacy notice. Point this, could be brief, only the title, that these are the changes that you might see in our privacy notice. For details, get it here. Doing this kind of a privacy notice, you are keeping your principals informed about how you are processing their data, what changes are happening in the regulators or your processing mechanisms, and you are showing them that you are accountable, giving them details about your internal escalation metrics and the complete grievance addressal, sharing information about the data protection board also. This will bring in more transparency and accountability in when you are handling the personal data of the citizens of India. So that's about the first obligation of the fiduciary, which is about privacy notice. Subsequently, we are going to talk about consent management in the next few videos. So stay tuned with my channel, subscribe to it if you have not already done it. Share your feedback in the comment section, and if you like this video, please press the bell and the like icon. Thank you.